Good morning. Not really sure what the day is. I seem to be getting that wrong over and over. Heck, I even get the year wrong from time to time. But whatever it is, I'll put it up on the screen over here, over there, wherever. Anyway, oh, and I want to, this is a camera check. I want to see. Can you see out that window over there? Can you still see my face now? Can you still see my face? Because that's going to help me figure out how to do this camera thing. Or to get the maximum, so not maximum face, the maximum real estate on the screen to put up the words on the side. Anyway, let's get going. A little anxious today. It's a Monday, and I'm I'm actually not heading into my normal workplace. I'm heading into another place where I'm going to be participating. One of 3 presenters in a presentation to the top level executives. And a little anxious about it. Public speaking doesn't usually bother me too much. I enjoy it a lot, but you want to get it right, and it involves technology, which has opportunities to go wrong. So yeah, a little anxious, but hey, that's one of those things that this is all about, is being able to manage and moderate the emotional responses, to push, not necessarily push through, to live through, not live through like survive it, but live, actively engaging my way through life in a mature and composed manner through this challenge, which is exercise and an opportunity to prepare, for the more extreme challenges, and also the trivial challenges that can take us by surprise sometimes when we least expect it. Like last night, I had a really busy week and a very busy Saturday teaching driving, so it was a long week. And I always go to bed early, 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm finished every night of the week. And when I go to sleep, I pass out and I sleep the dream of death. I wake up the next morning as a corpse risen from not an eternal slumber, but a deep slumber, the deep slumber of death. That's a lot of poetic language right there. I like that, the deep slumber of death. I can't remember what the first part was there, but it all kind of accurately captures it. I lay my head on my pillow, gone, and then the next thing I know, you wake up, even without the alarm, and I'm ready, and I go, just energy throughout the day, for the most part, diminishing though. But anyway, the drawback to that is that there's a timer and there's a limit to my energy, and that is about 9 p.m. And Emily, my daughter, had postponed doing her history homework until last night. She had the whole darn weekend to do it, postponed till then. She knows how I go to sleep so early, but it was only 8 o'clock. It wasn't even 8, it was like 7:55. She came to me and needed some help understanding the Civil War. And it was a challenge because I was at that point, even though it wasn't 8, I was just barely able to stay awake. And I was a little upset at her because she had not done her due diligence in terms of reading her assignments. Well, she was kind of just trying to pick through the chapter and find the pieces that could answer the question, something that I would have done in school. And as a result, she didn't know the answer and hadn't really done the work of finding it. And she'd had all day Saturday. She could have done that homework. So I was a little short with her, told her you need to think ahead of this stuff and get it done. And before I knew it, I realized that I had crossed over a little bit. I wasn't upset. I wasn't really upset. I wasn't yelling or anything like that. But I was a little more emotional about it. Just kind of like, Emily, I need you to focus on this, take care of this earlier in the week. And if you need my help, do so at a time and that I'm going to be in better shape to handle that. It was a little more than that. And I realized that, hey, wow, it's just such a small little thing. This is not a presentation in front of executives. This is not a new project coming dropped in my lap, or suddenly the engine breaking down in the car. These are the types of things that I'm training for, and I'm ready for. And when I do these little meditations, even after the camera turns off, I ready myself for it. But a little thing like that, I wasn't ready for it. It took me by surprise. I noticed it though pretty quickly, not as quickly as I'd like. Maybe that's okay, because letting Emily know that I was a little bit upset about her, about the way she approached it, was probably good. It gives her a message, right? So she's old enough now to begin, and it's important for her to understand the consequences of her actions, which will have that impact on others, right? If she wants to work as a team in her job, or as a family member, she'll need to be more thoughtful as to the time and ability and limits of others, in taking that into consideration. So there's that. But I was able to catch it. The whole point of this is I keep preparing for the big things, and then it's the little ones that nail me, that catch my emotions unawares. And again, this is not all about not responding, not having emotional reactions, but of simply managing my emotional reactions, so that I can be in control of I can be in better control of the one thing that I really can control, which is how I respond to the world. Let's get on with it now. There are the three components. There is the observation of human rights, the affirmation of human rights. The rights of the individual should not be compromised for the sake of the many. Now, we have to distinguish rights from privileges. Rights are those, I sound like a founding father now, those inalienable characteristics that we attribute to individuals, such as, which relate to, again, more founding father stuff: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the free speech, the freedom from the due process, and all of the other like. Not all of the Bill of Rights, because some of that really doesn't relate to this, but you get the idea. That was really genius of the forefathers, of the founding fathers of our country, United States, to think those things through. It must have really been through experience of watching the rights of individuals trampled to cause them to make that almost as the founding element of our government's doctrine. It is a doctrine, an amendable doctrine, as evidenced by the amendments. Anyway, it's the next one. The three objectives. The first objective is the development and maintenance of sound principles. Those are the 7 that are coming up in just a moment. And that's a key piece there, and something that if you're a young person just starting out, you're welcome to leverage my, I'm speaking as though I'm actually making this for anyone else. I do this as an affirmation for myself, but in case someone does see this and wants to leverage this in some way, you're welcome to use my 7 principles. Although I would encourage you to vet them out through your own due diligence. Run the 7 through your mind, see where your own experience and your own reason affirms them or denies them, and ask yourself why, and test them further. And then, of course, look for more and better. Add to these. Have as many few principles as your reason recommends. But the weight is on you to develop those. It's a big difference between a human operating system like this, and a religious, something prescribed by a religion, where the 10 Commandments. Here are thou shalt. There are no thou shalts in the good life. There is only what. There is one thou shalt. Thou shalt use reason as the arbiter of truth. Thou shalt use your mind. Thou shalt weigh the evidence. Thou shalt consider the options, and thou shalt doubt even your own most deeply held conviction. And thou shalt apportion belief. Thou shalt apportion thy belief in in measure with the evidence, with the good evidence. I borrowed that from Matt Dillhoney, who borrowed it from somebody else. Okay, 2, the cultivation of good emotional reactions. We want to a way to move through life and with more peace and happiness is to be in better control of how we respond to the world. And in fact, that's really one of the only things we can control. And developing developing that capacity, that capability, is instrumental in furthering our maturity. Take a sip of my coffee. I know I'm not supposed to let myself have a venti on a regular old Monday, but I've got a big day today with this presentation. I want a little bit of a caffeine boost. So, the development of good emotional reaction. This also relates to temperance, which is the 4th principle. I'll talk more about that when I get there. And 3, the performance of good actions. Just doing darn good things relative to the values developed through our pursuit of virtue and all the 7 principles. Just live a good life. And the parameters of that, of what constitutes goodness, are indeed available to us through looking at and thinking about the world. I think I said enough about that. Yeah. Let's move on to the 7 principles. The first of those is the atomic principle that everything in the universe is made of atoms. Well, everything is made of molecules, which are made of everything is made of compounds, which are made of molecules, which are made of atoms, which are made of subatomic particles, which are made of quarks and other small things, which in turn are just a form of frozen energy. It's a simple observation. It's like saying that everything's made of Lego, of a sort. And if you look at the world and you think, wow, it's all just Lego, it's all just atoms. It does 2 things. It kind of sobers us up with regard to being special, because clearly we're just animated, sentient Lego. Boy, I know anyone that sees that's going to object to that analogy, because they're going to scream that no, we're more than that. And I know what you mean. We are more than that, but I guess we aren't either. We are an assemblage of pieces, and no one has demonstrated. And this consciousness that seems to be in our heads, well, not seems to be. It quite apparently is in our head. You damage the head, damage the brain, or remove the life-supporting elements, and it goes away. And it doesn't there's no good reason to think it goes anywhere else. You scramble up a little bit of the brain, and things change. Our personalities change. We can even have split personalities. What we are seems to be connected to this gray matter. And part of the atomic principle is to remind us that we are a collection of atoms, and that these atoms are flowing and changing, and will be something different tomorrow, and we're already something different from yesterday. Well, that should give us some urgency to live life now. Next is the now and in the future. Yeah, you need to plan, prepare, but you get what I mean, right? I guess live life in this life, not be of another world. Like those stickers I see, not of this world. That's like, where do you even get the idea that there's another world? And wow, what a terrible thing to rob you of the one life that you really truly do have, and consider this simply a soul filter and proving ground for some other place that we have no idea even exists. No reason to believe it exists. Next, the social principle of nature. Everything and everyone has a particular nature. Light has some nature, moves at a particular speed, provides illumination, contains energy, it radiates. Apples have a particular nature, being composed of sugars and, I guess, carbohydrates, is it, and being, an attractive foodstuff to animals, a vehicle for the dispersion of seeds and the promotion of propagation of apple trees. You and I have a particular nature. Our hands and feet give us locomotive and grasping capabilities in a reverse respectable order. We have hairless, basically hairless, clawless, toothless bodies that are weak in physical capacity, but we have a great capacity in our brains, which makes us a quite formidable species, especially when put together. And we have brains that allow us to model and think about the world and come up with propositions and develop operating systems for ourselves and our computers and live lives as social creatures. And each of us, in turn, has our own nature. My nature is to walk alone in wild places and to think. My family, my daughter, my wife, they have their own particular nature, and our best lives are lived when we discover that nature, develop and discover, because it is an ongoing thing. We're not born necessarily with nature, except for the genetic component. And when we discover and develop it, and then live in accordance with that nature, march to the beat of your drummer, so to speak. I know that social society may fall in disarray if we were all to do that, but only so much, right? I mean, we have to do that while abiding the rights of the individuals and while living within the parameters of laws of society. 3, the social principle. We are social animals. We need one another, and our best and most our most potent. Well, I'm getting off at a different place. I better speed up. I don't have as much time. Our most potent virtue is social, when we pursue social ends. Social virtue. 4, temperance. Temperance is the see what happens when you're rushed. Temperance is the ability to govern our emotions and our decisions, to consume in moderation, and to in that way preserve resources, have a smaller footprint on the universe in consumption, and most importantly, to exercise our ability to control our actions, to develop strong musculature of will, that we can move through life consuming, eating, drinking, sleeping, working, playing, having sex, indulging in gossip, thought, lascivious thoughts, whatever the heck it may be. Is that even a word? Did I even attempt that word? All these things, if you can do that in moderation, we will be better people. We will be stronger people as well. Temperance. 5, the great indifference. Simply a recognition that the universe is a yawning chasm of dark, cold radiation, a giant empty microwave, waiting to irradiate all of us. We've got this one tiny little corner of the universe, and even on this little dot, this little rock, we've only got certain areas where we can live, and then only with the clothing and shelter and the company of one another. Wow, the universe is indeed a great indifference, and it doesn't give one hootenanny whether we survive another day or whether our species does, or even the whole planet. At least there's no good evidence to show that that's the case. So if you want to find love, compassion, companionship, and peace, then you need to look to one another. Let's turn to our family, our friends, our community, our species, our most friendliest species, dogs and cats and snakes and whatever, and make that the bosom of our living. Next is the principle of reason, which is the governing faculty, the ability we use to make sense of the world, to understand what is true by observing facts, making sense of those facts, developing arguments from those facts, which have a predictive qualities and capability and an ability to make predictions about the universe. Look and see if those predictions are true, and if so, then move forward with a better understanding, ready to adjust those ideas as necessary. 7, finally, the virtue, the purpose of life according to the good life model. Virtue is an objective observation that improvements in well-being are good for ourselves, for individuals, for community, for families, communities, the species, the planets, ecosystems, the whole thing. Improving the well-being, happiness, the health of this place that we live. Clean water, better and more education for everyone, protected environments, protection of individual liberties, improved communications, better and more widespread access to healthcare, improved medicines. All of these things, I think for the most part, just about everybody will agree, are good things. And when we do so, we have a foundation. When we agree that these are good things, then we have a, wow, what's this person doing? Then we have something to build on. That would be the a platform upon which we can build virtue. And that's it. So just in summary, the good life is nothing more than a life lived with a recognition that everything's made of bits and pieces, that including us, and that these bits and pieces will soon fall apart and become something else, as will us. We will dissolve away and apparently never be again. That everything has a particular nature, and we live better when we recognize the nature of other things and our own nature and abide that. That the best ends are social ends. We're social animals, and when we pursue the improvement of virtue for all of us, we are doing a very good thing indeed. It's the most concentrated form of virtue. That temperance is that we need to live controlling our emotions, our actions, and living parceling out and measuring how we move through our days, exercising control and becoming strong in that capacity. And finally, just a few more, recognizing the great indifference, yielding to that awesome reality, and not fooling ourselves into wishful thinking that it was otherwise. And finally, the exercise of reason as the governing faculty and the force that helps us to get to a point where we believe as many true things as possible and avoid as many untrue things as possible, or avoid believing untrue things. That's it. Thank you for this day. Now it's time for me to get my act together, take a few more sips of my coffee, put on my game face, get in front of those executives, and show them a measured, honest presentation of something that I think can really make a difference for this county where I work, or that I serve, and for the people that we serve here. And then from there, I'll go on to my main course of business, where I'll be ready for the unexpected, such as new assignments that come out of the blue. Challenges working with human challenges that come, with all just working with human beings. And then go home after that, and I'll be ready for mechanical problems as well, my car breaking down or whatever. I'll go home after that and spend quality time with my family, putting the phone down, talking and listening to my wife and daughter. And then I'm going to check tonight. I'm going to be a little proactive tonight. Instead of waiting for Emily to come to me help, when I get home, I'm going to ask her, Emily, do you need any help with your homework tonight? Long before 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And if she does, then I'm going to help her, guide her towards sitting together at the table and working on that. Yeah. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. Have a great day. Make it a good life.